When you think about data analysis, you think about one thing: Excel. Excel has so many tools to find relevant information in your data, which is what makes it the #1 analytical tool used worldwide. You can visualize data, perform computations, create graphs, and so on. However, one of the downsides of using Excel on a daily basis is that it can get repetitive. Sometimes I get super bored of doing the same task over and over again. But once again, our snake friend comes into play to save the day. Especially when working with Excel, it gives you the ability to automate those monotone tasks that you have to do very often. Some of the examples I'm going to show you in this video are inspired from chapter 12 of the famous book Automate the Boring Stuff with Python, which is, by the way, free. I definitely suggest you to take a look at it, as it helped me a lot throughout my learning. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you are interested in learning more about it. You can also find a link to the GitHub repository with all the code snippets we're going to be discussing. Now let's get this video started. The first thing I want to show you is how to retrieve values from different workbooks. Here I have my sample data, which in our case contains one worksheet called sales orders. I also have another workbook with the exact same information but different values. Let's say we wanted to grab the value of one cell from these two workbooks. Perhaps our manager needs the data for monthly reports, or maybe he or she wants to see if the sales have improved over time. For example, I want to get the value of Thomson pencil sales, which amount for a total of $63.68 in cell G11. Then I want to make sure I get the same value for the same person but from another workbook. I'm currently on the second workbook and the total value for Thomson here is 83.58 because we sold more units than last year. Now that we know what we want to retrieve, let's start writing some Python code. First, we want to import the openpyxl library, which is a Python library to read and write Excel files. If you don't already have it in your environment, you can install it by typing pip3 install openpyxl. After doing that, we want to let Python know where are the files we want to work with. We can do that by creating a list and specifying the path of the Excel files on the operating system. I'm also going to create an empty list where we're going to append our values later on in our code. What we want to do now is loop through each single file in our file list, load the workbook through the openpyxl function .load_workbook, specify the name of the worksheet that we want to select, sales order in our case, specify also the cell location containing the total value we need to retrieve, and append every value to our final list. If we print the list of values, we now get the two total numbers from the two different workbooks. You were able to see how easy and convenient the whole process was, which is what makes Python the #1 language of choice for automation. With Python, you can also merge or combine Excel workbooks. If you have multiple workbooks to analyze, it can be painful to manually retrieve and merge data. You would have to open every single file, and you may end up working in a confusing environment. We can automate that in Python in less than 10 lines of code. So here we are back with our two files, sample data and sample data 2. How do we merge these two tables in a single Excel workbook in Python? Well, first of all, we want to import the pandas module in our code. Pandas, for those of you who don't know what it is a widely known library used mainly to manipulate data in Python. Same thing for openpyxl. If you don't have it on your computer already, you can install it via pip by typing pip3 install pandas. Then we once again want to specify the location of the Excel files we want to merge. This is the list we're gonna loop through later to make sure we go over each file. I'm also creating a blank data frame and store it in a variable merge. In pandas, a data frame is a two-dimensional labeled data structure with columns of potentially different types. If you want to learn more about this data structure, I'm going to leave some documentation in the description. It's now time to loop through each file of our Excel list and read those files in a data frame. I also made sure to not copy the second workbook's header in our file by using the skip rows argument. We are telling pandas to basically ignore the first row of the second workbook. We don't want that in our file, we just need the merged data. We finally append the results to merge and we should be done with the logic. Finally, we want to export the merged workbooks in a new workbook. We can do that through the .toExcel method, and we need to specify the desired name for our output file, merge file in our case. Now every time we run the script, we get a new workbook containing the combined files that we specified in our path. Pandas also allows you to search for specific data and filter it across workbooks. This is very useful when you have a bunch of data that needs to constantly be cleaned up and filtered. Python can act like a sort of centralized system where you have full control over multiple Excel files. Imagine you had to check which representatives sold pencils. You would have to check for that condition to be met before returning who sold the pencil item. Let's see how you would do that. The steps are identical to what we've seen so far with an exception. For now, we import pandas, we create a file list with a respective path, and we loop through them. What's different this time is the condition we want to set in the data frame. After reading the Excel file in pandas, I'm creating a data frame containing the name of the representative I want to return. Then I'm using the .where clause to tell pandas where to look for the column item, which I put in a data frame, and the value of pencil in that same column. If we run this, we will get a ton of NaN, not a number values. But no worries, we can easily clean that up by importing NumPy. Once we do that, we want to add the dropNA function at the end of the line to drop those annoying NaN values. Lastly, we want to print the name of the Excel workbook that has been searched and sorted to have a more clear view. When we execute a Python script, we easily get the names of the representatives who sold pencils reported. openpyxl also allows you to use formulas available in Excel. This is very convenient because it lets you automate, for example, the total number of sales, but you can virtually perform any type of operation that you will be normally doing in Excel. Let's see how you can automate the computation of the sales average in our workbooks. After importing openpyxl, we outline the path for our Excel files and collect them in a list. As we did for the other tasks, we want to loop through every file in the list and load the workbook with the appropriate method. We tell our program to select the sales order sheet, and we specify where we want the formula to be displayed, cell G46 in our example. The job is pretty much done. We have one more thing to do, which is to save the file index. Now, if we open the two files, we can see that there is the computed average in cell G46. Think about how much time this can save when working with multiple workbooks. In conclusion, Python is a very powerful tool that can help you automate many tasks. I also made a specific video on how to automate your everyday life in Python. You can find the link in the description. In today's video, we've seen how you can make those repetitive tasks slightly less boring. And just to show you that you can pretty much automate anything in Python, expect more videos about automation to come out. And in case you missed it, you can find all the code for this video in the description. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something new today. If so, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, and I will see you guys next time.